Welcome to On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Matt Lucas, journalist, commentator, and ex-Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people. Today we will be talking to Michael Chase Corley as part of a discussion on the release of his new book, Muay Thai Grit, Stories of an American Muay Thai Fighter. As always, if you'd like to reach me, you can follow me on Instagram, MattLucasMuayThai, or email me at a.matt.lucas@gmail.com. Thanks to all the people that have supported me so far, sharing the podcast, leaving reviews, etc. If you'd like to leave a review, that would be super helpful. You can do so in the iTunes store. I want to personally thank a few people: Vinny Scotto, Patrick Rivera, Dave Brooks, Sean Madden, Wildell Galano, and Chris Tran for helping me get going a while back when I broke my camera. I'm going to be producing a new short video on Rob Cox and his history with Max Muay Thai. So I'm just in the editing phases of that now. Hopefully by the time this is released or later in the week, I will have that video out. As always, book plug, I wrote I'm Fighting in Thailand, a guide to the sport in the motherland. Was released about a year ago now, and it's still very relevant. It's a clear guide going over scoring, matchmaking, picking a gym, fight styles, gambling, and more. It has a series of interviews with long-term expat fighters like Michael Savas, Willie Whipple, Lisa Brealey, Angela Chong, and others. It is a definitive guide to help clear up questions and to help people understand the game. You can get it off of Amazon, in print, and as an ebook. Thanks as always to my sponsors, Nak Muay Legends, for their continued support of the show. They create some great Muay Thai apparel with portions of the proceeds going back to the legends they celebrate. All the superstars have been paid for their images as well. You can check out their gear at www.nakmuaylegends.com. Use OnFighting to get 15% off your order. Also, they recently released a awesome pair of shorts that's a celebration of some of the legends like Ken Sack, Diesel Noy, Rob Kamen, Samar Payakarun. I think there's one more I'm blanking though. But anyways, great shorts. It's a collaboration with In-Fight Style and Authentic Muay Thai Supply, so definitely check them out. So this is going to be a one-off podcast. My next series is going to be a look at Muay Thai in Australia and the history of Australian Muay Thai. So I have lined up a few guests. I am first talking to Nugget McNaught of Nugget Gym out in Brisbane, Queensland. So I'm excited about that. So again, I'll be doing a 4 or 5 part series. I have a few people in mind for it. We'll see how things develop though. So a little bit about Michael Chase Corley and the book. I helped edit the book. It was a 4-year process. Corley took a little bit of time to get everything all put down on paper. So it was a really good experience for me to learn about, his journey very intimately. I know it back and forth now because I helped edit the book. And, when you edit these things, there's a lot back and forth. You go over the material over and over and over again. You also get to sort of really see how the person's perspective and sort of career is developed. Corley definitely came out here at a time when foreigners weren't as active and there wasn't things like social media to connect people with, so it was a lot more difficult, and Corley went for it, and I think he really learned a lot from it, and I also learned a lot from being part of the editing process. I am very happy that I went along for the ride and that I helped him deliver this book. I do think it's well written. I'm happy with the product. So I'm excited to see what happens with the book release. I'm excited for Corley and its future, and I'm excited to add another piece of quality content to the world of Muay Thai. So a little bit about Corley. He is the president of the USMF, the United States Muay Thai Federation, which is very intimately associated with IFMA, the International Federation of Muay Thai Amateur. So they're really trying to push Muay Thai into the Olympics. He's also the owner of Heritage Muay Thai, which he started about 7 years ago. It's a successful gym. He's got some great talent there, like Becca Irwin, we mentioned her, Jacob Rodriguez, Olivia Rodriguez, and a few others. So without further ado, the interview with Michael Chase Corley. So how are you doing, Corley?
I'm good. I'm pretty good, considering we're in a pretty slow Muay Thai season, I guess you could say.
Yeah. The fights in America are starting up pretty soon. Triumphant has some bouts soon, and then Lion fight as well, correct?
Yeah, I see both of them. I've seen some other shows in like the Midwest, but I haven't seen anything in like the big hubs of in the Northeast, New York, and like California. But hopefully, not too long, they'll be back up.
So, but you're taking advantage of the slow time. You recently published your book. What made you want to write the book, Muay Thai Grit?
Um, I just wanted to tell my story of how I got to where I am, and that I'm not, the president of USA Muay Thai is not just some guy that, goes to meetings and all that. I've pretty much done everything in Muay Thai as far as, fighting, coaching, promoting, officiating, everything. And I just wanted to kind of tell my story of how I got from Spring, Texas, all the way to, fighting and coaching all over the world for Muay Thai.
Yeah, you're certainly not just some guy that looks good in a suit.
No.
So what is your aim for it? What do you intend to do besides just tell your story?
I think it's just something for people to, look at and say that you can still be involved in the sport and be successful. You don't without being a world champion. I think, a lot of people, when they're done with fighting, a lot of them, even world champions, they're out of the game. Like in order for Muay Thai to grow, we need people with the experiences to come back and give back to the sport. Officiating, coaching, everything. And I know a lot of people get burned out after a life as an athlete, but in order for this sport to grow, especially in America, we need more of our top guys and people with that international experience to come back and tell their stories and coach and inspire people to pursue the game.
Yeah, that's definitely something that resonates with me. My own fight career was, pretty mediocre at best. And I mean, a part of it was, I just didn't know. I made like a lot of bad decisions in my career because I didn't know from other people's experience.
Right. And a lot of people, I mean, that's the thing. There's not any really stories out there of, I guess, American Muay Thai fighters. I know Kevin Ross has wrote something pretty cool about his experience with fighting Sanchai. I know people have blogs out there, but I don't think anyone's kind of told the story from how they got started to where they are now, I guess.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. What do you think are some of the big takeaways that people can learn from the book?
Oh man, there's just highs and lows in the game, and try not to get too down on yourself and just keep going. I've had the most embarrassing moments in fighting in my life, and then I've had some of the most high moments in my life of fighting. So yeah, something to take from that is just Muay Thai is not like boxing. People don't get records of like 50-1 type of things. They, take Nong O. I mean, he lost when I was living in Thailand. I think he lost like 6 fights in a row, and then he went on like a 3-fight win streak, and then won the Toyota Marathon, and then I think came and won the Lumpini title later that year. So.
Yeah, Nongo is still actively fighting, and he seems like he keeps getting better too.
Crazy.
I definitely can see some of the highs and lows of the book. There's one point where you sort of face plant in the ring, and then another point where like you had a boxing fight and you won for Apidat, your trainer. out here in Thailand, and it was a really nice inspirational moment.
And for to clarify something, when I got face planted, that was not from a punch or kick. It was from jumping over the ropes, going over the ropes, and my trainer I thought had the ropes down, and I just literally flew over the ropes and face planted. And yeah, it was a really great start to the fight.
the that's happened to other people too. I think it happened to Jose Palacios, Rudy Ott's fighter. I think it might have been at a.
It happened at my. It happened at my when I promoted a show, and it actually happened twice in the same show because a lot of the in Texas, it was like new to people, and everybody was trying to be authentic Muay Thai, and they were trying to all go over the ropes, and I've probably never done it before in their lives. They're falling over the place. But
it's definitely, there's a few things that have made me nervous when I fight, and like going over the ropes and like tripping over the ropes is definitely one of them.
Oh,
I don't know why. So obviously it was a big process writing the book. What did you learn about writing your book for yourself?
Oh man, I don't learn about myself is that there was a lot of crazy things, and a lot of it was how much of your crazy do you want out for the public to know? So I think this book is rated a PG-13, so it's good. I mean, that's living in Thailand for a while, you're going to see some crazy stuff. Traveling the world, fight shows and stuff, you're going to see some crazy stuff. But yeah, it was just a long process of, do people care about? I mean, that's why I even changed the title of the book. I think it was The Story of an American Not Muay, and I just put this like stories because I just chose random stories because I think some of them are just kind of, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't be so interesting, but yeah, I just put a collection of stuff I thought would be cool that kind of followed a chronological order that would be kind of entertaining, I guess, for people to read.
So a lot of this was, diving into your history as a fighter. Did it make you really sort of relook at your career, and what sort of things do you think you would do again, and what sort of things would you redo?
Oh man, yeah. There was like, you read it and there's like a point where I lose like 4 fights in a row, and it's just like, when did it not click that you're not living in Thailand anymore and you're trying to fight the world class circuit, So I think that was the biggest thing, you take some of these guys now that are doing really well in Thailand, and you bring them back home, and it's just not the same because, it's 2 training sessions a day. You're dedicating everything to your training. You got, tons of people you can clinch with. You got sparring. You got everything right there. You got fights every day of the week on TV, and well, not right now, but during the time, you're engulfed into the sport where you're gonna get good. And when you come back home, it's you try your best, and I think that's when I read through that in my book, I was just like, man, I could have just came home and maybe gone back, a year or so later, fought a tuk-tuk driver and been a hero or something, but no, I just kept wanting to challenge myself. And I think, people in the book will see the errors in my ways on some of these things.
Yeah, I do think that, you really went for it with your career. And I think that, it's obvious that you learned a lot from doing that. You've helped develop a lot of strong fighters like Becca Irwin, and then Jacob Rodriguez recently won the triumphant belt. You've had a lot of guys do well on the national and international scene. Something that you sort of briefly touch on in the last chapter of the book as well.
Yeah, I just, I just steer them away from the errors that I made, and I have a lot of experience, not just from my own time as an athlete. When you're around all that, you learn what other guys are doing as well. You look in, and when you're in the same locker room as, Yeltsin Clay and Giorgio Petrosian, and you're seeing how people conduct themselves, how they warm up, how they do things, and it's you learn a lot throughout the week, in the workout rooms and how people are preparing, and yeah, it's not just I guess for myself, but just everything that comes with it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of the things that you sort of alluded to it to some degree, in that the book is PG-13, but what are some of the things you decide to leave out of the book?
I guess the streets of Bangkok. I was the manager of Fairtex Bangplee, and part of my job was to take people out and take them to the fights at the old Lumpini Stadium. Show them around, and yeah, I mean, some nights were very just regular nights, and sometimes we had crazy people, and yeah, there's just, you got that, and then you got the stuff where you're at the camp and you're dealing with drama as well. I touched on it, I think, a little bit in the book, but there's so much stuff, with the trainers and the trainers' wives and kids training, and it's wild. I just didn't touch on that. I think I have a whole nother book planned for behind the scenes, like based on true things, but it's a fiction book to save some people's face on there.
That'll definitely be a fun read.
But yeah, I didn't go too much into that at all.
Yeah. So let's talk about the bookmaking process itself. Like you said before, there haven't been that many, Muay Thai books and authors about Muay Thai. So what was the writing process like itself?
I just started recording, like writing some of the stories down that were happening to me, and I think I had something like 6 of them that I kind of liked, and then I knew that you had written some stuff, the boxer's soliloquy and whatnot, and I remember I think it was I don't know what IFMA it was, but somewhere between 2016 and 2018, 2019. I don't know. It took a long time for me to actually put all this stuff together. And I remember I was sending you chapters and you would look at it. And I know you kept telling me, like, what the hell, Corley, get this shit done, man. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was kind of going back to what I said earlier. I didn't know how much I wanted to put out, and I also didn't want to. I wanted it to be authentic. I didn't want to tell any of these like cheesy stories, or I came back from, I defied the odds and I became a champion kind of thing. I want to just tell the truth, but not also sound like an idiot on there. So
So what were some of the pros and cons of doing, the writing and sort of the actual bookmaking?
I don't know. I've seen some people's work. I've read some people's stuff. It sounds like it's awesome written, like, but it doesn't sound like them. Like, I wanted this to sound like myself. So I think sometimes when you get whatever, like a ghostwriter, you got somebody helping, sometimes that maybe they overdo it a little bit, so I just wanted it to be more authentic, like myself. And from what a couple people told me, they can tell that it's me in the writing. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
Do you have a background in writing at all? Have you done anything like this before?
No, no.
So was that hard for you, or how did you feel about it?
I just wanted to, I feel like I tell all my friends now that you gotta write all these stories down, because you'll forget them. And it's like, every time, like, I'm with some friends from like the fight world, like a story will come up, I'm like, oh my gosh, why do I not have this written down? I need to have this. I can't, I don't want to, there's just so many stories, and it's just it's worth it to write it down. Yeah. I've been, my stories are like I said, PG-13. I know some people with some crazy stories in the fight industry, and they're successful too, and man, so I don't know.
What were some of the unexpected challenges of doing the book?
I guess, you got to look at it from a perspective of someone that doesn't know at all what Muay Thai is. so you just start writing and you forget that some of the stuff you're describing, maybe even Muay Thai people don't know so much about it, and you got to kind of break down some of the terminology and some of the stuff. And I think I probably could have done a little bit better in some of those areas, but I think we cover some good amount of it in there. But I think that was one of the biggest challenges, is describing stuff and going back there and making it feel like it's hard, to try and make someone feel like Thailand. You just have to go there,
Yeah, it was pretty interesting for me to, be so involved in the book, in that I learned a lot about, the time period that you were actively out here. I think I was out here for the first time around the same time as you, when you were managing at Bangplee, but I never went over to Fairtex, so my experience was a lot different. But like, there's some things I distinctly remember, like the Challenger show, and then some of the like marathons, like the Toyota Marathon, seeing Kevin on there, and other things, but definitely didn't have the same perspective and sort of overall view of everything as you did.
Yeah, it's a different time back then for foreigners doing Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
There's not as much, I guess you'd say, opportunity to be seen like there is just before the pandemic. There's a lot of foreigner versus Thai shows that are on TV with like the MX, the Super Champ, the Max Muay Thai, and man, somebody could really make a name for themselves over there really quick.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was a lot harder to find information as well. Like if there was a foreigner over here, you wouldn't necessarily find out about them. Facebook wasn't really a thing. Just like the landscape of attention and information was a lot different.
Yeah, definitely.
So how has the release been going? I know that the book officially launched about a week ago, 5 days ago. How have people responded to it so far?
So far, so good, but maybe they're just being nice. I don't know. I've had a couple people at my gym give me some feedback. It's like they liked it, and it's kind of like they wanted some detail on some more things, but I don't know. Overall, everybody seems to like it, and a lot of them ask the same question, like, "Why did you keep doing this? Why are you fighting? What are you doing? Crazy person."
So what do you hope for with this book release?
Just to tell who I am and why I have the experience to lead USA Muay Thai athletes, coaches, officials, and you know through my experiences I can help bring our level up in America for American Muay Thai, and then just tell people if they're serious, you got to go all in with it, and you can't take time off, you can't take 6 months off, you can't take a year off. You're gonna go, you got to go all the way. And your opponent doesn't care about your job. Your opponent doesn't care about your new girlfriend or wife. You're fighting people that do this full time. So if you're not willing to go full time with it, you're not gonna have the results I think you're gonna want.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And then you've definitely shown a lot of proof in your pudding. Like I was saying before, with your success with the IFMA team and developing your own fighters.
Thank you.
So wrapping things up, is there anything you want to talk about that we didn't talk about?
Check out the book. Let people in Muay Thai know about it, and spread the word. Get your gyms registered with USA Muay Thai. Support the sport. We have a hopefully when things open up here, we're gonna have a lot of enthusiasm. Everybody's been kind of sitting for so long. I know that once things get opened up, I think it might be just a surge, hopefully, at these national tournaments and at the world tournaments. It's just everybody's hungry. So I'm excited. And in the downtime, you guys can pick up my book and you can knock it out in probably a day. It's like 155 pages, I think. So, yeah.
And of course, where can people find the book, and how can people follow along with you?
The book's on Amazon's Kindle or paperback, and then you can follow me on Instagram. It's Corley HMT, and then USA Muay Thai is at USA Muay Thai. My gym is in Houston, Texas. Right now is a great time. We got a lot of good athletes here right now. We're all just ready to get these shows going because we're all been training hard for. Seems like it's been a year now. Yeah, a lot of people haven't fought, and everybody's ready to go.
Yeah. Great. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing more of your book in the future and also more of your athletes. Hopefully, you can get out here to Thailand soon and we can have some good, more than PG-13 times.
Yeah, man. As soon as they lift that 2 week quarantine, I will be there.
Well, hopefully that's sooner than later. Thank you, Corley.
All right, thank you.
So that concludes the interview with Corley. I thought it was really good. You know, obviously, a lot of people that are listening to this podcast probably have never written a book. It does require time, it requires patience, and it requires a lot of focus. So I'm really happy that Corley sort of came through and did it all. You know, it's an achievement, and I think he has a very important story to tell, something that a lot of fighters around the world can learn from. So, as always, if you'd like to reach me, you can follow me on Instagram at Lucas Muay Thai. You can check out Corley at Corley HMT on Instagram. Definitely take a look out for his book, Muay Thai Grit, which is available on Amazon. It's a great book. It's $17, so relatively inexpensive and a great read. So without further ado, this has been On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Matt Lucas, journalist, commentator, and ex-Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people.
This show was edited by Effie Ceruti. You can find me on Instagram at Effie_FC or on Facebook at Effie Ceruti.